We'd like to welcome all of you once again to Saturday's Story. And I want to thank you for being so faithful in viewing Saturday's Story down through the years. But this is a new year, and I have been praying that God would give us some spiritual attributes that will help us make this a successful and prosperous year, that we can survive the onslaughts of the attacks of the enemies, the oppositions, the setbacks and sorrows that come against all of us. And I'm going to talk to you today about one of the attributes that I feel like that is so very, very vital for our success. And that is the attributes of honesty. Matter of fact, the Old Testament Deuteronomy said in the NIV, you must have an accurate and honest weight and measure so that you may live long in the land which the Lord thy God has given thee. It is a fact that they lived that day by weights and measures. This is how their economy worked. And the Lord said, if you're honest, then I will cause you to live a long time in the land. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 2 said, what measure you mete out is going to be measured back to you again. It is an absolute fact that we need to understand that we need to be honest with ourselves, because you're going to live a long time with yourself. And you're going to sleep with yourself and wake up with yourself every day. So it is going to be very important that you really, really be honest with yourself. This is why Paul talked to the church at Corinth in 2 Corinthians 8:21. He said, providing for honest things. Hear this now. Providing for honest things, not only in the sight of the Lord, but in the sight of men. In other words, if we're going to affect the world we live in and bring people closer to Jesus, we're going to have an attribute that will draw them. And I promise you, what your mom and dad taught you many years ago, that honesty is truly the best policy. And this brings me to Saturday's story. She was destitute. Lisa was at the end of her road. She was so destitute that she had one option. She was applying for a job at Kramer's Industries, and this job meant whether she was going to survive or sleep under a bridge. The thing was, she had a little 4-year-old boy that she was concerned about. Her husband had died just after her son was born, and this threw her into a literal tailspin of life and the pandemic and all the loss of jobs. Now she was 4 car notes behind, 3 house notes behind. Everything was in arrears. She had no money. And now she was interviewing for this job, and this job was going to be a matter of life or death. She had nobody to keep her little 4-year-old boy, so the secretary at the front desk said she would watch him while she interviewed with the man in charge of hiring. And when she walked in, she presented herself as dignified as she could, even though going through the darkest day of her life. And she was just honest with him. Said, sir, I've got to have this job. And I just want you to know that I'll be the best employee that Kramer Industries has. I'll give it my very best. I will do everything in my power. I promise you, if you'll just hire me. He said, well, ma'am, it's not the fact that I don't want to hire you. I've just got some criteria that I have some questions I have to ask you. And he began to ask her these personal questions. And he asked her, said, well, do you have children? She said, yes, I have a 4-year-old boy. Well, do you have arrangements made for this boy to have someone to keep him while you work? Because we have seen this over the years, people with children, that this presented problems, that they can't bring their child to the job site. So do you have adequate arrangements? And she said, I'm going to be honest with you. Said, I'm not going to tell you a story. He said, I don't have anyone to keep him, but if you'll just hire me, we'll work through this. I promise you. Said, sir, said, I'm behind 4 payments on my house and car, and I've just got to have this job. So, well, ma'am, said, I want to be kind to you, want to hire you, and I feel for your dilemma, but I have a job that I have to ask these questions, and I can't hire someone that's going to present a problem to Kramer Industries. And so I'm sorry. Please, sir, I beg you, tears pouring down Lisa's face, pleading with the man to hire him. And he said, well, look, my sister runs the homeless shelter here in town. Said, here, he wrote a number down. He said, if you get in a real bind, call her and tell her you talked with me. My name is David, so tell her you talked to her brother David that to help you any way you can. I feel for you, but there's nothing I can do. She walked out so dejected. She took her little boy and they went down to the garage, and when the elevator opened and they walked out, oh no, there is a man jacking her car up with a tow truck backed up to it. She runs up to him and said, what are you doing? Said, well, you're Lisa Burns? And yes. Said, the VIN number said that this car has 4 payments that's delinquent. Said, if you can pay 2 payments today, I won't get the car. But sir, I have no way of traveling. How am I going to get home? What am I going to do? I got a little 4-year-old boy. Ma'am, said, I'm sorry. I've got a job to do. And while she's talking to the man, her little boy looks and sees something on the floor by the garbage can. He just wanders over and picks it up and brings it back. And she's pleading with the man, please, sir, have mercy upon a mother that doesn't know what she's going to do. I got a little boy. I don't have any money. How am I going to get home? I've got just enough gas to get me back to my apartment, and please. And the man was adamant when the little boy kept tugging on her coattail. Said, son, I'm talking to this man. And then suddenly she looks and sees he has something, and she picks it, takes it out of his hand. It's a wallet. It's a wallet. She opens it and begins to count. And she counts $5,000 cash money in this wallet. And the little boy tugged and said, Mommy, give him the money and we could keep our car. Give him the money where he would keep our car. And the mother looked at her little 4-year-old boy with tears running down her face, said, but son, this is not our money. This is not our money. And ill-gotten gain, I was always taught, you never did prosper by taking something that's not yours. But Mommy, we have nowhere to go. And she looked and saw a name and address, and the address was just the next block. Matter of fact, the address was Plush Condos. That was just on the next block, the most elite place in the whole city. And she said, I don't know who owns this wallet, but somebody has lost an awful lot of money, so we're going to go and take it back, son. But Mommy, what are we going to do? She said, I don't know, son. I don't know. We'll just have to trust the Lord. That's all I know to do. So they walked the next block, and there was the list of the names and a bell. She mashed the button, and a phone rang. A voice said, may I help you? Said, sir, said, I know you won't understand, but I found a wallet, and it has your name and this address, and I wanted to return this wallet. He said, well, just come on up. Said, I've opened the door. Just come on up. She went to the door of this very plush condo, rings the doorbell, and a kind gentleman opens the door. And she said, sir, is this your wallet? He said, yes, it is. Well, I'm returning this wallet. He opens it and said, well, all the money's still in here. She said, yes, sir. It's all there. Said, I wouldn't take anything. The little boy spoke and said, but they took our car and we don't have a way to go. And I'm hungry. And the man looked and said, ma'am, Ma'am, let me explain something to you. He said, 8 years ago, my wife died. I lost the most precious thing in my world. He said, and every year I put a wallet out, a wallet full of money. I do this as a test to see if I could find some honest people still in the world that we live in today. And after 8 years, you're the first one that brought a wallet back. And ma'am, I just wanted to tell you that I've been pondering what I was going to do if I found an honest person. And here's what I'm going to do. He picked up some keys and said, ma'am, this is the keys to your new house that you're sitting in right now. And he reached over and got another set of keys and said, and this is the keys to your new car that's parked down in the garage. And by the way, my name is John Kramer, and you just interviewed at my company, of which, ma'am, you'll have a job there as long as you want. Not in the introduction area, but in a supervisory position with a very strong salary. My lawyers will be contacting you to make the legal framework and transfer all the properties in the car over to you. And all of this is because you were honest. Because of your honesty, this is a reward. And the little boy looked up at his mama and said, Mommy, you told me that God would take care of us if we were honest. Could I tell all of you out there, you got to live with yourself. You'll sleep with yourself. And you're going to live with yourself a long time. So it's just the best policy to be honest with yourself. Because if you are honest with yourself, God's got some keys He's going to give to you. The keys to the kingdom, the keys to the blessing, the keys to the promotion, the keys to the provision that He has already provided for those who will take the greatest attribute you could find on this journey to heaven, and that is the attribute of honesty. So with Lisa and her little boy, let's all celebrate today that I'm going to embrace this spirit and this characteristic attribute of honesty into my soul, that I too can receive the blessings of God. Would you please share this with someone who may be struggling with the fact of, I've got to make a choice. Well, there's not but one choice to make. Be honest with yourself. And when you look in the mirror, you'll be pleased with the man or the woman that you see. God bless you is our prayer today.